Coming up, increased pressure on us after the break. The Prime Minister defends the COVID testing system.
The lunchtime news with Lucrezia Millarini.
Good afternoon. Boris Johnson has launched a robust defence of the government's testing system in the Commons this lunchtime. The Prime Minister said there had been a colossal spike in demand for coronavirus tests and capacity had been increased. Well, that surge in demand has led to local shortages, with many people still reporting problems securing tests. Our political correspondent Carl Dinnan has the very latest. Hundreds of schools are now affected by the surge in demand for tests, with many pupils sent home and some schools shut. Teaching unions say they have a deep sense of foreboding about the potential for the system to become ever more riddled with delays. Our correspondent John, Secretary this morning, actually talking about testing in schools.
And keeping them open is another one of the government's absolute. Now, as we know, at the moment, NHS and social.
Well, joining me now is,
thank you.
On the past half hour, the Welsh Government has announced another local lockdown in Rhondda and Taff. Under the measures, people must not enter or leave the area without a reasonable excuse. Inflation, the rise in the cost of living fell to just 1/5% last month due to the Chancellor's Eat Out to Help Out scheme. The daughters of a couple who died in the Manchester Arena bombing have told the inquiry of their parents' love for each other. Angelica and Marcin Cleese died whilst waiting to pick up their children from the Ariana Grande concert. Well, Damon Green has been... Well, the brother of the Manchester Arena bomber, Hashim Abedi, could have been given a full life sentence under new sentencing laws unveiled today. The reforms will see life orders being given to 18 to 20-year-olds in exceptional cases. There'll also be longer sentences for child killers and GPS tags for burglars, as Ellie Pitts reports. Barbados says it plans to remove the Queen as head of state next year. Next, challenging some of the myths surrounding adoption. Almost 3,000 children in England are still waiting for a new family, but adoption rates have fallen by a third in the last 4 years, not helped by the pandemic. The You Can Adopt campaign launches today, appealing to people to consider adoption, even if they thought they might not be eligible. And finally, during the coronavirus crisis, we've seen some unique ways in which people have been raising money for charity. Hello again. Now the main stories in London, and the London Assembly has been told a rape survivor who waited 2.5 years for her case to get to court faces another 9-month delay due to a lack of perspex screens. The weather now, here's Manali. And that is it for now. I'm back here at 6. Until then, enjoy your afternoon. Bye-bye. Tonight, a testing system in crisis. Good evening. For the second day running, hundreds of people living in Southend with symptoms of coronavirus were forced to queue again for hours round the block to try and get tested. And again, many were turned away, not knowing if they were infected, leaving people unable to work and children unable to go to school. Nurseries fear they may have to close if staff can't get tested. The Prime Minister had his say today, though. We have apparently the most thorough testing regime in Europe. Here's our political correspondent, Simon Harris. And if you are struggling to get a test, please get in touch with us on Facebook. Just search for ITV London to help us build a picture of the situation here in the capital. Grenfell Tower's cladding design manager emailed colleagues 2 years before the fire, acknowledging how quickly the cladding would burn in a fire. Well, the email from Daniel Anketel-Jones was shown as he gave evidence at the inquiry. 3 years on from the fire, which killed 72 people, MPs have criticised the government for what they say is a system-wide failure of building regulations. Rags Martel reports. We've got an update now on Hammersmith Bridge, which has been out of action for pedestrians since last month and closed to vehicles since last April. The council thinks it may have a solution. Our reporter host.
Well, the Thames could provide the answer. Hammersmith and Fulham needs to stump up the 141. So tomorrow, Sadiq Khan is going to face.
Thank you for the update. Thanks. Now, he's been described as one of the black police officers who helped change the Met. Over a career spanning 30 years within the force, Leroy Logan, a former superintendent, worked on a number of high-profile cases, including the murders of Stephen Lawrence and Damilola Taylor, the Tottenham riots and the London Olympics. Throughout, he has campaigned for increased diversity within the force, all detailed in his biography, Closing Ranks, which is out tomorrow, and I'm delighted to say. Now, the boss of British Airways has told MPs he deeply regrets that loyal and hard-working colleagues have lost their jobs at the airline. Almost 12,000 jobs have been cut, a third of the workforce. Alex Cruz said the carrier is still fighting for survival, losing £20 million every day. Ria Chatterjee reports.
Burning through £20 million a day.
Now, tonight sees the finale of the three-part ITV drama Des. It is based on the true and gruesome story of serial killer Dennis Nielsen, who murdered boys and young men in London during the 70s and 80s. Sport now, and is Gareth Bale close to coming back to Spurs? When Gareth Bale left Spurs in 2013 for a record signing at Real Madrid, Tottenham fans were devastated. There's excitement growing over speculation that he might be returning to the club on loan. Sam Holder reports. Weather now, and not as hot as yesterday, but another warm, sunny day in the capital. Manali Luca has the forecast. For Winston Churchill, she was his favourite spy. For the history books, Christine Granville was one of the most effective special agents, male or female, to serve Britain during World War II. Today, she was remembered with a blue plaque on the hotel where she lived until her death. As our senior correspondent Ronke Phillips reports, she also inspired a Bond girl. What an amazing woman. And finally, during the coronavirus crisis, we've seen some pretty unique ways in which people have been raising money for charity. And that is it for now. We're back with the latest after ITV News at 10. Coming up, Mary with the ITV Evening News. But from me and the rest of the London team, bye-bye.